Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us at this version of Through the Gathering. Today we're going to hear from Gabriel Ginorio from Thrasio. So really looking forward to his lightning talk. He's going to be speaking all about identifying and building scalable processes, which is something that any team who's working on collaborating efficiently needs, right? But first, while we wait for people to roll in, just really take this time to introduce yourself. We have a chat going. Would love to hear, who you are, what you do, what company you're with, and where you're dialing in from. We also have a little icebreaker since it's officially fall now. Chris, I'm not sure if he jumped in the chat already, but I know pumpkin spice lattes are his thing. Wondering who else we got here that loves those. Let us know in the chat. But I'm going to get into some announcements real quick as people are filing in. We're going to hear from Chris Anderson today a little bit more about some community updates. And then, like I said, we'll hear from Gabriel. So if you're new to Guru the Gatherings, just to give you a little bit of a breakdown of what you can expect, we really use this time to come together as knowledge managers, as CX professionals, as sales leaders. We have people from all over the board that are trying to create knowledge-driven cultures at their companies. And this is a space for us to talk about, what strategies do we need to do that? What approaches do we need to take to really make that happen? Make sure people are working better together and finding the information they need to do their jobs faster. So in this time, we usually talk about tips and tricks and hear from people who have really done some awesome things with Guru at their company so that they can share what's worked for them. And we can all spend time discussing, what we're currently facing and how we can improve it. So by the end of this time together, you're going to be able to, learn actionable things to improve your Guru instance and your company, and then also find people to connect with that give you new ideas to level up. So you can look forward to that. This is a breakdown, roughly, of how we're going to accomplish all of that. So like I said, we have some announcements, then we'll hear from Gabriel. But then on the later half of the hour, which is going to be really fun, we'll get to ask specific questions to Gabriel about his approach and his experience. And then we'll also get to reflect with each other and talk more about our own individual challenges within our role and troubleshoot with each other so we can remove those blockers and continue to build successful knowledge-driven cultures. So first, I want to just remind everybody about these resources that are at your fingertips. These slides will be circulated after the event, so you'll have access to all of these links. But keep an eye on a few things here that'll really help you with what you're doing. One, you have the opportunity now to also share your wins and empower others through the community. And I'll get a little bit further into that in a later slide. But if you want to understand more about, best practices, exact things you can do to improve your Guru community or your Guru instance, these places are the exact places you should look. So we have a Guru Academy, which has videos for you. We also have a YouTube playlist that you can click and easy access and just binge watch like best practices and recommendations from other knowledge experts in the community. We have videos from Square, Looker, Slack, so definitely check that out. And then of course, we do Guru the Gatherings and another like sister type event called a Guru Deep Dive on a monthly basis. So our next event is a Guru Deep Dive that's coming up on organizing your content to support workflows. And so you can check that out as well as all other upcoming Guru virtual events at these links. Now I'm going to pass it over to Chris Anderson to give us some updates about the Guru community, which if you're not in there yet, you definitely should join. So I'll let you take it away, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaylee. So good to see you all. Thanks for joining today. I think just looking at the list, a lot of you are already in the community, but if you're not, like Kaylee said, we would love to see you there. I think Rachel's going to share the link there in the chat. This is a place we actually just celebrated 1 year since we launched. We launched the community on Slack a year ago as of last Friday. And it's been cool to see grow over this past year. It's a place where we discuss all different topics related to knowledge management, related to how to best leverage Guru, and just have a lot of fun kind of connecting with each other and building community. So would love to see you all there. And then Just wanted to give a quick heads up. We are going to be launching a channel moderator program. So inviting folks who are community members to step up and do some channel moderation. We're going to kick that off beginning of November. So look out for an announcement there. Great opportunity to stay connected with folks, really build deeper relationships, and show some of your expertise. So if that sounds interesting, feel free to DM me. But again, look out for an announcement and a way to raise your hand to get involved with that in the next week or so. And then one other really quick plug to make sure it's on everyone's radar. We launched the Guru card template gallery just this past Friday. Shout out to all these amazing customers at Slack, Square, Noom, FreshBooks, Saros, Bread, Redeye, PetDesk, Clarity. Some of the folks who have authored those card templates are here with us today. But big thank you to all of those folks. We've got some amazing card templates to really help inspire different ways to use Guru. And also it's a great way if you're thinking about, hey, Guru could be valuable in other departments at my company. Seeing some of these concrete use cases can be great discussion starters. So the URL I think we'll share in the chat is just getguru.com/templates. We will be adding and growing that there. There's a way to submit templates if you'd like to be featured in the gallery, and also request templates that you would like to see in the gallery. So definitely check that out, share it with other folks at your company, and feel free to copy those cards and use them. That's what it's there for.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, just piggybacking off that sentiment of customers sharing what's worked for them, we are seeking speakers and storytellers for the next few Guru gatherings and Guru deep dives. So as you guys build out your Guru instance, as you work on, managing your knowledge at your company, revamping it, wherever phase you're at, we believe that people always have something to share and always have something to add, right? Because you're taking a specific approach. And so we're looking for more people to partner with to spotlight, where they're at, what they've learned, and where they're going next with their knowledge. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and click the link to the share your story form and fill it out for us, which gives us a little bit of a background of where you're at and then also what opportunity you're most interested in. I just wanted to call out, I know Lindsay from Noom is in the chat and Ali from Slack are in the chat, and they are both people who have shared their stories in different ways to the Guru community. And just wanted to say hi to them real quick and spotlight that and put that call out there. If you made a lot of progress in what you're doing and think it would benefit others, this would be the perfect opportunity for you. All right. And Gabriel was actually one of those people who we partnered with to do that, right? So Gabriel Ginorio is a learning and development manager from Thrasio. You may recognize him because he's been quite a familiar face around Guru the Gathering. But Gabriel has taken a really specific approach to managing knowledge at Thrasio, which came in very handy as they experienced an explosion of growth over the past few quarters. So we're going to be talking about how they got through it all and came out on top in terms of efficiency and collaboration. And so I'm going to kick it off to him and learn together with you all about how to best identify and build scalable processes with Guru. Gabriel, I'll let you jump in now.
Thanks, Kaylee. Thank you, everybody at Guru, for having me present to you guys. I'm super excited to just share some of my background and the story of Thrasio. But before I do that, I just want to highlight what you just said about the card templates gallery. That's super up my alley in terms of getting processes efficiently done, and it's just such a good resource that I'm hoping to use as soon as we get off this call and start looking through some of those templates there and hopefully contribute some of my own. But with that, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Gabriel. I joined Thrasio as employee number 6 almost 2 years ago. No, actually over 2 years ago. It sounds like a long time. It doesn't sound like a long time, but for me it does, because in this kind of growth startup that we're experiencing, the time just warps maybe 3x, right? The 2 years I've been there feel like 6. I don't even know where to begin with the amount of just things that have changed since I started. But basically what we do at Thrasio is we acquire fulfillment by Amazon brands. So what that means is that these brands are selling their products like, let's say like a spatula. When you go on Amazon and you buy a spatula, you end up actually buying from a third party. You just don't know it. You just think that you're on Amazon, you're buying from Amazon, you get your customer service through Amazon. Typically that's a normal experience, but what ends up happening is on the back end, it's actually mom and pop shops that started maybe in 2012, starting selling a spatula with 0 reviews and slowly accumulated over the years. And now they're the dominant spatula player in the market. So once they reach a certain size, it's actually really hard to grow past there. So that's where Thrasio comes in and acquires that brand to take it to the next level and inject a significant amount of capital to make processes more efficient and to sell more. And it's just the natural transition point from a small mom and pop shop to more of a corporate company. So that's what we do. We acquire these brands that sell on Amazon. We're about 250 full-time employees with about 150 contractors. So we've grown from employee number 6 2 years ago to 400 or so people. And it's been a pretty wild ride. We have about 225 users that are active every month on Guru. And we're super proud of our Guru instance. We try to keep as much information centralized there as possible. We use a couple of other apps as well. Slack is our day-to-day operating communications platform, and we integrate Guru and Slack as much as possible. We also use Google Drive, so when people are creating slide decks or docs or anything, we create those in Drive and then we link them back to Guru as much as we can. And we do use Dropbox links and Monday.com for project management, which we also try to link back into Guru. And then in terms of my role specifically, I'm the learning and development manager. So I train new hires on, our processes. How do we work with selling products on Amazon? What do they need to know? And I guess one of the things that I really enjoy about my job is when people start taking Guru for granted. When they're just doing their job and they expect to find things on Guru without even, anybody telling them. They just go in, they search, they find what they want, and then they just continue on with their day, and their process is just smooth. Whenever that happens, I'm really happy. But whenever things break and, people spend hours trying to answer a single question that they don't know who to go to, that's where I'm not as happy, and I try to create a Guru card as soon as possible to try to answer their question if I know the answer, or try to get the right people to answer those questions on Guru so that they never have to spend that amount of time again. So that's who I am in Thrasio in a nutshell, and super excited to talk to you guys about processes, because this growth can't come without enough processes. So Thrasio, basically in the last 6 months since the pandemic started, or no, 7 months now, I guess, we've grown 3 times essentially what we were at the beginning of 2019. So it's actually quite crazy and not something that anybody would ever have expected it to happen this way. So we've had a lot of challenges with that growth, especially as we do a lot more remote distributed workforce. People have a lot of questions and they don't have shoulders to tap on. But what we've created is a good enough compendium of processes in Guru so that new people are hired and immediately onboarded to those systems without having to go, ask all of these other people how to do things. So that's what we mean when we talk about sort of this Guru being like the central hub for everybody in the company to find out, how to do a specific thing. What is the issue here is that the more you grow, the more like interdepartmental, communication starts breaking down. People like get hired for this specialized function in marketing, but they don't communicate as much with the finance team anymore. As when I joined, I basically was the marketing and the finance person at the same time. So it was easy to communicate the two people, the two departments. Whereas now it's a lot harder and not as easy, especially as, again, remote work, not everybody's acquainted with each other. So it's really hard and it's changing all the time. So there's a lot of inconsistency in how people are approaching Guru. Some people are very familiar and they go directly to Guru. Some people still do it the old way where they talk to someone in their department and ask them for questions, and they take a while to get their answer. And so what I'm trying to do, with the scalable processes that we're going to talk about next, is get everybody to use Guru so that no one ever has to wait like more than 15 minutes to figure out what to do next, and they don't hold up their day hostage because they don't know what to do with a certain process. So with that, I want to go to the next slide. Um, so this is really the solution that I've proposed here. It's instead of hiring a bunch of people to take the load off, right? Because you could say, okay, well, if someone is taking 20 hours to do their job, then maybe you hire another person to help them, and each person takes 10 hours to do their job. Well, that's a mentality that you could be fine doing, and maybe it's costly, and but the problem is that it increases the amount of complexity with communication and collaboration, because now the job is divided into two people. So if one person needs an answer, a straight answer, they're going to have to ask two people for that answer. So instead, if you could figure out a way where you can create, instead of 20 hours of work for that person, 10 hours of work, then you don't need to hire someone else. Anybody who has a question about the process can go directly to one person instead of two. And this just reduces the amount of complexity in the company as we continue growing. And this is an exponential process, by the way. So this is really a hard problem to tackle. So if we go to the next slide. But the way we do it is saying, okay, a process is a streamlined approach to solving a problem. So bringing down however long it takes you to do X to X over 2 or X over 4, right? 25% of whatever it took them to do before, figuring out through automation, through templates, through other sorts of different techniques that we can cut down the time that it takes someone to do a specific task. This way, we're designing for the true underlying problem and not, doing so much of the, adding people to the mix and figuring it out that way. Although that is a process you could take, it's complex. It includes a repeatable action. So basically you can do the process over and over and over again, and many people can do it at the same time without you having to interact at all independently of each other, right? But it requires both top-down and bottom-ups adoption. So on the top down, we try to increase the amount of people who know about Guru through new hire training, and that's what I do now as a learning and development manager. I train the new hires on how to use Guru and how to do the processes within them. And then from the bottom up, we are counting on all of the different operators to include their processes into Guru as they find obstacles. So if they're following a process, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and they encounter an obstacle, I'm counting on them to edit that Guru card. I'm counting on them to bring it up to me or bring it up to someone to figure out, okay, I got stuck in step 5. How can we make step 6 or step 7 even better? So break down step 5 in multiple ways. So we need the adoption of both top and bottom up approaches. So if we can achieve these things, right, scalable processes, the way that I think about it is, instead of patchworking and adding people into the mix to like cover for other people who's just like, wow, it's, my plate is now 20 hours instead of 10. Instead of patchworking by adding new people into the mix, my hope is that we can create more scalable processes that prevent that patchwork. And then eventually, if you keep on growing like we are, it doesn't blow up in your face like the GIF shows, right? If you can probably stamp a tape on that hose, but if the pressure in the hose grows too large, the tape is going to blow up, and then you're not going to be able to fix it. So that's kind of the analogy that I use there. And going to the next slide, we've identified a way that we can sort of share with others, and try to share across our departments how to identify and sort of design for these scalable processes. So the first step is really to find where are the cracks in communication and where are the processes going bad. And this is not super fancy at all, right? Like, it's literally sitting down in a room. You sit down, all of the people who are doing the process, sit down in a room, write down all of the different problems that you're facing, and come up with like a list of, hey, we're facing these problems, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this group of people, we call ourselves the sort of project managers. And these are the people who are like super obsessed with efficiency and making sure that their teammates are doing the processes as efficiently as possible. So the first thing is maybe identify those project managers that are gonna be so in tune with oh, I don't want to spend 2 hours. I want to spend 1 hour. I want to spend 15 minutes. This should take 15 minutes to do, and get those people who are obsessed about that into a room, and then list out all of the different things that they've found in their day-to-day that need to be addressed. That's the first process. The second step is how to design for thinking about this process as we grow. So we go one by one and we figure out, okay, for this particular problem, is it that you need input from various departments to go into a decision? And how are you going to get that input? So we can use maybe Monday.com, where we tag people and we can then that way get people's input in the same platform, and then everybody can see everybody else's input and then comment and reply to each other, and that way we can come up with a decision from there. Okay, that might be a potential solution. Or does it require not just a project management tool, but also an automation? We need information from this other team and they struggle to come up with a report in order to feed into that decision. Let's try to automate the report by drawing from a various APIs. So on Zapier, or using Google Sheets and bringing information from outside. So the design is, again, in that project manager roundtable, we're talking through what a potential way for this process to work, as we do it for right now, but also as we grow to the next 2x in our company. How would that work? And if it's the same, we're going to try to do that in the next step, which is setting up the efficient process, right? We're thinking about, okay, if it's taking too long to get to a consensus, let's find out if we can get the information flowing faster into that roundtable that before that didn't exist. So for example, we rope in a technology department specialized person in dashboards, and we try to get them to create a minimum viable product, right? Like a small dashboard that just takes in a few columns of information and gives us that so that we can make decisions faster. We also try to rope in, the SMEs. So if they know there's something that we can be doing that's faster, but they just haven't communicated with everybody, let's create a template so that next time we just share the template, and we don't just share the verbally how you do it. You share the template so that people can just fill in with the information that we need in order to make that decision. Like I said, automation through Zapier is a big key one. So just connecting different sources of information together. And then, not everything can be automated, not everything can be generalized in a template. So we also need to catalog all of those edge cases. So, whenever you try something and what the outcome of that experiment is, we're going to try to literally put out, okay, I tried X and this was the result. And we all put that in the guru card so that everybody understands that this is what we have as our best understanding of the process so far. We use this automation, we use this dashboard template, and these are the edge cases. And then we can now start saying, okay, once we have this guru card, we're going to drive adoption by sharing the link to the right operators. So that same project management roundtable that I mentioned, this knowledge council, if you may, is now sending out and working with their respective departments on how to get that process into the workflow. So we do trainings on a weekly basis depending on new processes that we have. We bring in, external people if we need to. So the vendors that we work with to explain, how we work with this particular process. So it's a mixture of things that the project managers are going to try to implement within their departments. And, it's going to take a little bit, this is not a, one day to another, but adoption will happen eventually, especially if we include that in the new hire training, which I'm responsible for. Once the adoption is done, we're going to try to measure efficiency gains from it. And this is not a super easy process. I'll tell you right now, you don't know exactly how long people are taking to do X before the guru card and now X after the guru card. If you knew that, then you could say, okay, well, I'm saving 2 hours, therefore 2 multiplied by however many times a month I do this, multiplied by however many people do this, then you get your time savings, and you multiply that by a salary, you get how much money you're saving. But that's easier said than done. It's really difficult to have the pre and the post. So what I'll just say is try to figure out, how are people reacting to this new process? Are people like saying, this is amazing, I'm so glad this new process is now here because what I was doing before was taking too long? Perfect. That's enough input for you to say it's working. I'm going to create new processes like this for other things, right? And communicate that efficiency. Celebrate those wins in your Slack channel if you can. And once you have that, you're going to just continue again doing it for all the other processes down in that like find cracks in communication. Like you're just going to start over again, do it with the project manager roundtable, go through the design, the setting up, the adoption, and then measure. So that's a process that I've kind of templatized. If you go to the next slide. So people may be thinking, okay, well, this is an interesting process for processes, right? Like it's kind of like a meta process for creating processes. But how do I start? I don't have project managers. I don't have like a technology team. How do I start this if I wanted to get it instituted in our company? So we also didn't have any of that stuff at the beginning, but the way we started was literally saying, okay, guys, for today, we're not going to do like a normal work day. We're going to actually have a summit. It's just all of these like operators, they take basically half a day of just attending this summit where we're all brainstorming for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, even the whole day if you need to. Just brainstorm what are the things that are going wrong right now and what could be better. So that's the first step, literally getting everybody in a summit to talk about what are your problems, how can we make this better, and then someone is just taking note and organizing that content into categories. So as people say, well, Amazon created this new rule that affects this products this way. Okay, great. Someone is taking a note and making sure that, okay, new rules category. How many new rules does Amazon make? Let's write out all of these new rules that are affecting our products, and let's make sure we have a process for each of them. So basically brainstorm, someone is organizing that content and then assigning the SME that is responsible for figuring out what's going on in that new rule that I just mentioned. Okay, great. So we brainstorm, we assign contents to SME, and then we do this content jam. So the way the content jam works is now that everybody's brainstormed, we're going to do a sort of knowledge dump of everything we know about each process for an hour, where we invite everybody who brainstormed to write in a guru card. Okay, what do we know about the new rule? This is how we think it's going to affect it. It's going to take you 15 minutes to do one card, just to like data dump everything you know about it. And then the same person who was organizing the content and assigning those SME experts is going to now review the content. So once we have the card, again, 15 minutes is not really enough to get like a scalable process in place. It's enough to get like a first pass. And so these people who are reviewing the content are grading the guru cards on a 1 to 4 scale, where 1 and 2 are basically like not that they don't pass like inspection in order for it to like be fully published to the rest of the company, but 3s and 4s do pass. And I can share with you what the like grading scale is exactly. But once we grade those 1s and 2s, that person who reviewed the content is working with the people who started making the card at the 1 and 2s to try to make them a 3 and a 4. So once that happens and you have a bunch of 3s and 4s, now you're deploying that into a project management tool such as monday.com, and then addressing any questions and answers that you have on the processes on Slack. And so let's show an example of what this really means. It's a little bit abstract, but I'll show you what an example is. All right, so the first step, like I said, brainstorming. It's 1 hour, maybe 20 people. You come up with 150 different little tasks and things that are going on right now in your life that you would want addressed. And you can see in that screenshot there, it's literally a Google sheet with all of the different tasks that people mentioned, and then someone that is assigning those cards to SMEs. So if you click on the next slide, it'll show you the animation, right? So this person who's now assigning each of those different little tasks to SMEs, They are now gonna do a content jam for an hour, and you may do 2 depending on how many tasks, right? We think, you know, for 20 people, you get about 4 cards in an hour per person. So if you have 20 people, you basically get 80 tasks done in an hour. And then if you do 2 of these content jams, you basically get through the whole, you know, task list that we came up with. And so the goal of that jam is not to have a perfect guru card, is to have a first version of the guru card and a link that I can literally put in the spreadsheet on column C to make sure that each task has some guru card associated with them. Doesn't have to be good, right? Then the person who reviews the content will go and work with the person who wrote it to try to get it to a 3 and a 4. This is an example of a card that has basically a 4 score. So it has a purpose. There's exactly a step-by-step process of how to do that card. And then people have used it or feel like they can use it to operate on their day-to-day. If you have 150 tasks, reviewing and rating the content is going to take a while. This is not, again, like I said, it's not like a 1-day thing. It's going to take about 3 weeks to review 150 tasks and make them deployable. And then the next step is to deploy these guru cards into monday.com. So what you want is basically you have the task, you write it out in the row, and then in one of the columns you have the guru card link. So basically when you assign that task to someone, the guru card link is right next to it. So the goal is to get people to have that done status at the top right as soon as possible, right? And if they can't get to done, there has to be something that's breaking down with the process. And then we iterate and we go back and figuring out, okay, do we need to brainstorm? Do we need to do another content jam? What do we need to do in order to get people from the task to done? And that's the sort of loop that we go through all the time. And it's really important that everybody understands this is not, again, a 1-week thing. It's probably going to take you a while, for at least at the beginning. But once all of these cards are set, what's nice is that you don't need to go back all the time. You basically now on the margins are creating new cards, you know, maybe a few, but at the beginning, it's going to be kind of a big lift. And it took us a month, the month of November of 2019, to do most of the guru cards that we have baked into the processes. All right. So just a quick kind of learning and growing. Don't wait too long to form that knowledge council, right? November of 2019 is about a year and a half in after I started. This could have been a lot smoother and maybe even taken less time if we had started from the beginning with this like group of project managers, group of efficient people who really just enjoy like figuring out processes to get together and discuss, you know, how to make the process better and add it to Guru, put it into monday.com and go on. But, you know, you live and you learn. So the learning tip is really just form your knowledge council as soon as you can, because it's just going to compound if you don't do it. And then find those people that, you know, again, are just efficiency sort of experts, people who just love to think about the easiest way that I can do this task without having to involve so many people. And that will help you manage your growth a lot better. The next slide. And so this is the last slide I have. You know, if we have these scalable processes in place, then I feel in a much better position to start figuring out what to do afterwards. If it is to hire new people, great. If it's not, then also great. But what we still haven't figured out just yet is figuring out those quantitative metrics of success. Like I said, like if you had a perfect world, you could say how much time person A took in doing the process before Guru and then after Guru, and that would be ideal, but it's not always that simple. So figuring out metrics of success is one of my next sort of tasks, and figuring out how to do this. The next thing is, as a knowledge manager, you know, I come from a particularly interesting background where I was an SME and then became a knowledge manager. So I know a lot of the things that need to get done, and I try to create those cards as well. But I hope to be able to help other departments, not just the one that I'm familiar with, to create their cards and be efficient. So I'm trying to see if there's a world where the knowledge manager becomes like a 80% of their time becomes consultative, right? Like just going to different departments and figuring out what's breaking down, doing the content jam, assigning those SMEs to write those cards, and then iterating over and over again. So that's what I hope I can do in the near future. And I'm sure some other people will have thoughts on how to make this happen. So I'm eager to learn. And then just leveraging automation is the next big thing. So we do these processes and it takes us a while. Like Monday.com isn't perfect. You know, we have some qualms with it. We want to create more dashboards and automation, and that's going to be custom made. So it's going to take a little longer. And especially if we want to deploy sort of knowledge triggers, which we want the operators to just be able to like do their normal routine and then suddenly have a knowledge trigger pop and say, hey, you got to do this task, X, Y, and Z, you know, failed. We need someone to do this. Okay, great. That's a guru card. I'm going to go do it and figure it out. So that's it. That's kind of like what I have for you guys. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer in the next session, in the next part of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. That was such a wealth of knowledge and a very comprehensive, like, series of steps that somebody can take to really implement this at their company, which is huge. So I wanted to open it up. We have a few minutes to chat with Gabriel before doing an open discussion with the group. So wondering if anybody wants to jump in and ask Gabriel some specifics about his approach here. Any questions you have or for him, now's the time to ask.
And they can feel free to just hop on their video if they want to ask those questions.
Yeah, hop on your video, speak up. If you can't, for some reason, jump on video, feel free to drop it in the chat. Looks like we did just get one. So Ali Berman says, how did you develop your grading and scorecard for the content review aspect?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Looking back, I should have probably had a slide or something on it, but I'll share that with Kaylee, and we can add it to one of the guru cards that we're working on to share with the public. But essentially, the grading scheme is on a 1 to 4 scale, and the number one. So like I'll just line them up. So 1 is basically it's a useless guru card. Like you read it and it's just like someone put in like ASDFG and then just called it a day, right? Like that is just like the bare like minimum to get a link up and put that in the spreadsheet, and someone just was super lazy and put that in there. You know, ones are just have nothing to do with the task at hand. You don't want any of that to be there. 2 is, you know, people try to get it to be somewhat of a process, but their thoughts were just misaligned. It was more like a brainstorming board for them instead of like a step-by-step approach. So the 2s are, you know, you have the content there, but it's not structured in a way that people can read the process as a step 1, step 2, step 3. So basically 2s, we want to get to 3s, and 3s are things that are structured in a step 1, step 2, step 3 process. That people can read and understand what's going on and be able to execute on each of those. But the 3s, for example, are super crude. They don't have potentially like a template. Like, for example, the person who was writing out the step 1, step 2, step 3, you know, asked you to do X, but what they should be asking you to do is use this template to do X, right? And so getting that next level of efficiency is what defines a guru card grade 3 and a guru card grade 4. It's making sure that the processes are not just like people telling you what to do, like if you were verbally there. It's also linked to specific files and folders that you can action on. It's not just telling you like, go to Dropbox and find this thing. That's not super useful. Getting the link in there, getting the templates in there, and any automations and dashboards, like explaining those things in there, is enough to put it on a 4 scale. And the 4 is just basically a card that's there, and that's not necessarily perfect, but it's good enough that has all of the templates and files and links there, and you can just iterate on it over and over again as you find more problems that come up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for that. And it's really cool to hear how the further along the cards get, once you start adding the right information plus the links to the right files, even if you were operating in a world where people were communicating like as perfectly and efficiently as possible, this is still better, right? So let's see if anybody else has any questions in the chat, or if anything came up for you that you want to make sure to ask Gabriel. Now is the time. I'll leave it open for another few minutes.
Yeah, and while a question comes in, I should say that not everybody necessarily will have like automation people, experts, like a technology department, and I should offer to not be dissuaded by that. I think that there are very simple things that you can do using Google Sheets, and then if you want to go a next step is doing using Zapier to connect things to Google Sheets. It's really not too hard. It might be like a learning curve of maybe a day, but after that, you can just apply those across so many different sources of information. So I would suggest, like, if you can help it, right? Don't necessarily rope in all of your tech people immediately. Try to figure it out how to automate things yourself before you go to the tech person, because the tech person it's going to be almost from starting from scratch as well. You got to explain what the process is, what the goals are. It's going to take a lot of time to get that person up to speed. So I recommend, just trying it out first with a quick Google Sheet or Zapier, and it really just takes a day to learn. And I'm happy to sort of, in the future, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to jump on a call with you and explain those things.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Gabriel. I'm thinking maybe now we transition to the how, right? With our group discussion, we wanted to just go around and give everybody the chance to speak about what's going on in their knowledge world right now and how this could be of value to them, how they are going to apply it. So if everybody's okay with it, we really encourage you to turn on your video today, or right now at this time. This is the it's kind of like the group discussion that we would be having if we were in person. So I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you, and I'm going to go around in a circle. If you're not interested in speaking, just feel free to pass, but I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you, because like I said in the beginning, everybody has a different perspective, which means that everybody has some value to share, and we're here to learn from each other, right? So I'm going to switch to gallery view myself, but would love to hear from everybody. What's one process you've documented in Guru that's been impactful for your teams and that's worked for you? And while you kick us off and share that, we'd love to also know, who you are, what you do, and what company you're with. So maybe, let's see, looking for people's names here. If sorry, for some reason I can't see people's names, but if Amy is still here, or Allie, if you would want to kick off, because I recognize you.
Hi, I'm Allie Berman. I'm on the customer experience operations team at Slack, and I'm the Guru admin for customer experience. I've talked, well, my template's up in the template gallery for our product change enablement, but the other thing that we've documented in Guru, I think that's been really helpful, is our incident process. And that's like we have checklists so that people know, like, these are things we need to do to make sure that like our customers are updated. It's top of mind because we had an incident yesterday. And I got some feedback on some of our cards. But I think that's been really helpful, and it's helped. Those are high anxiety situations that people know they can go and know that they're kind of like doing the right thing. And so that's been very helpful for us.
Thank you so much, Allie. Jen Shin, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, my name is Jen. I'm with West Coast Financial as the Director of Operations. We're pretty new to Guru, just in our first quarter of a full rollout. But the biggest use case that we have right now, all of our new employee training is on a self-guided Guru process. So we basically assign one card that is the introduction, and it just daisy chains them through an entire training on all of our systems and processes that are general, not role specific. A lot of different roles in our company have more advanced training, but if you're just an employee at West Coast, you need to know how to do an expense report, use Slack, all of that kind of thing. And so that's been our biggest use case so far.
Oh, really cool. Thanks for sharing, Jen. Lindsay, I recognize your face here too, obviously. Hope you're doing well and would love to, have you introduce yourself to the group and speak to your processes over at Noom.
Yeah, so my name's Lindsay Hart, and I am one of 2 knowledge managers over at Noom. We break it up into Taylor. My partner goes through and she does new and implementation content, and then I focus on existing content and auditing that. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're wanting, but something that we do for our team. So we've got a team of health coaches that work directly with customers. So anytime there is any person that works in tech understands that any product that you're going to have bugs with features. So anytime we have tech issues or frustrations, we utilize a template in uniform format for cards. So we give the coach their approach for how to troubleshoot and work around, but then we also only utilize the block quote feature in all of our cards so that they know very quickly what is a canned message response that they can send out to the user. So that's something that's been really helpful for our team.
Cool. I love the sound of that. Thank you for sharing, Lindsay. Yeah. Travis, welcome. I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and what's something that's been working for you and your team right now when it comes to processes.
Totally, yeah. So thank you. I'm Travis. I'm coming from Qualia, a real estate technology company, and I'm on the product marketing team. We probably as a company were introduced to Guru around 4 months ago. Our CS and support team onboarded first during the first month. And once there was really positive response from the entire team, I was tasked with onboarding the marketing and sales teams at Qualia. We're roughly, I want to say around 170 sales and marketing individuals right now. And so I think the biggest process improvement for us, especially on the marketing side, has been before Guru, everyone would be slacking each other like, hey, where's this asset? How do I find this asset? You guys created this, one sheeter, where can I find it? And now that has all been transferred into Guru, and our marketing team doesn't spend, 10% of our day just finding documents and sending it to our sales team. So I think that has been one of the biggest improvements that I've seen on the marketing side that has improved our sales process. So it's been awesome.
That's so cool. That's huge. And actually, I was just working with another member of your team, Alex from Qualia. We just recently published case study. Yeah. So I'll have, maybe Rachel can drop the link in the chat for everybody, but that's another great story that we've been spotlighting lately. They really ran with Guru at Qualia, and it's great to hear that. Totally. Yeah. So really interesting. Well, I guess staying on what you've been working on, Travis, as you onboard these new team members, as they get used to working in Guru, have you noticed any specific challenges with getting them to adopt the processes?
No, I think it's just a matter of bringing people up to speed on, now that I did marketing and sales, our HR team hasn't done it. Our learning and development team, which everyone has talked about, I don't think we've done as good a job as implementing that on Guru. We use Lessonly, which we've learned Guru has a great integration with Lessonly, but I think we've still struggled on bringing that all within Guru. So I think it's just a matter of bringing everyone up to speed across the company. And that's our next big challenge.
Yeah, I hear that. Lindsay, I wonder what you would say about this, because I remember when your team was onboarding, and still to this day, onboard the amount of health coaches that you guys do, just the amount of people you add to your team. This has probably come up, I'm sure, about continuing to add processes to the playbook. So wondering what the latest is with that, with your team, and what you would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is also relevant for us. Gabriel, you were going through your challenges, and I was sitting there shaking my head yep, definitely deal with this every day. Next week in particular, we're onboarding 160 people. at once. So we rapidly grew in the last year. So, you know, Taylor and I together are going through our tagging strategy. We've got international teams looking up at adjusting our collections versus how we utilize tags, because exactly what Gabriel was saying, you know, our original strategy doesn't necessarily work right now with our tags. So we're kind of starting fresh with, you know, our tag strategy in particular, and we've implemented a knowledge manager, learning management system we're here, along with our knowledge manager. So we're going through and auditing all of those trainings that currently live as recordings in Guru into the LMS, and then deciding what resources they have to reference back to in those trainings. So a lot of auditing going on.
And I should say, my team also uses a learning management system called KnowBefore. And it's essentially, it's the same as Lessonly, I assume. But the idea is that you get new hires up to speed using the course. But then the question is, how do you get like existing hires to do their processes more efficiently? You know, I hear all the time of people like saying like, oh, it's taking me like 2 hours to get this report. It's like, okay, why is it taking 2 hours? Let me figure out with you, like, what are the steps that you're taking right now to get the report? And are you editing information in those reports? Okay, great. So can we outsource some of this instead of you having to do it yourself? Okay, great. So let's write a Guru process for this existing, you know, hire. This not like a new thing that we're training people on. It's just like an existing process that they have. And let's try to break it down in Guru. And usually a lot of these people that are taking all this time to do X is because they don't have a Guru card. Like almost 95% of the time that's the case. And whenever that happens, we're just putting it into Guru, even if it's just literally rinsing and repeating what they're doing currently. It gives us like a visual like idea of what step-by-step thing you're taking. And then other people can look at it and say, gee, you know what? I know how to help you with step 2. That's taking you 30 minutes to do. I know how to do it in 1, right? And so other people can collaborate and help create that process even faster. So just stop what you have over here and try to put it into Guru, and it'll give you just that sense of, okay, I know what I need to do because it's right in front of me, and other people know what they need to do because it's right in front of me. So just the distinction between how we use the LMS for training new people versus how we use Guru for existing sort of processes and existing people, existing hires.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Jen, Allie, we have one more question, but I didn't want to move on before we touched on your challenges or how this is going, like for you guys at your company. So Jen, wondering over there, like as you and your team build these processes, is it kind of like what part of the process are you getting stuck on, if any, and where your focus is going to be?
I don't think we're really stuck. I mean, we're in a healthy stage of ramping. Everybody now knows how to use Guru. All of our content that was in a previous solution has been migrated to Guru. I think now our biggest challenge is just opening people's eyes to the possibilities instead of, you know, sending a long email with instructions, that just having the foresight to realize this is potentially repeatable. I should get it in Guru. So I think just awareness of what's possible, so that they continue to kind of get to the point that Gabriel says, where they go to Guru first, and you just know they've already done that. If they still have a question, then we know we've got more content to create.
Yeah, I love what you said, Jen, about like opening people's minds up to what's possible. When Gabriel said earlier, how can we get people to think about like the fact that they could never they never would have to type this again, I think is a good way to put it. Allie, are any challenges top of mind for you? I know we're coming to the top of the hour here, but I want to make sure to give everybody some time if you need feedback.
Just piggybacking on that, I think that the thing we struggle with is that everybody's very busy, and making the card is a lot of upfront effort. Like, it's going to save you time down the line, but it's like getting people to be like, can you please just build in like 30 minutes so that you can, write this guru card on this process so that you won't get asked questions anymore. I think it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, I need to do that. Oh yeah, I need to do that. And so just selling it to really selling it to them that like, this is going to make your life easier. I know it's more work right now. That's just on individual cards. We also do that with like, we're doing like a restructuring of some of the boards for certain specialist areas. And like, it's a big project, but I'm like, if you do this, we will not have to do this again for a while, even though it's a big time commitment now.
Oh yeah, I hear that. And actually, we probably won't spend time on this because I have a few wrap-up announcements for you guys, or wrap-up reminders. But the last point of discussion is, how kind of like taking that sentiment of how you can get people to do this because they know it will be better for the long term, but applying it to the benefit that you are all going to see, or that you are all working towards by like chasing these processes down and creating these processes out of nothing, right? Because like Gabriel was saying, the more that these are in place, hopefully the more you will be able to adjust your time and spend them on the most impactful things. And so, this could be a discussion for a future Guru Day gathering for sure, but it would be interesting to hear, from you all, like how that shows up in your role. Maybe we can keep that as a point of discussion for the next Guru Day gathering, because we're running out of time now. But I just wanted to say thank you all for coming and for sharing. We have some action items if you want to keep learning about this, and actually you will, okay, cool. You may recognize Allie's face here. Shout out to Allie. But if you want to keep learning about best practices and processes, there's 2 links here that are going to be the best place to start. Allie did a talk for our Remote-a-thon series about working smarter, not harder, and speaks to how Slack automates and builds processes. So that would be a must watch as well. And then our last Guru Deep Dive event, like I said in the beginning, was about building knowledge governance groups and knowledge councils. So as we heard from Gabriel, those are pretty essential to seeing success. And if you want to know exactly how to do that, you can go check out this recap and then also take a look at the playbook we have. So I worked together with Gabriel to create some guru cards for the community instance, taking everything you learned today, putting in bite-sized information that you can copy and paste into your own guru accounts. So you can check these out here. There's also, like I said, the playbook on building a knowledge council, but just extra resources for you to feel like you can really apply this to your team even more than you're doing now and see the benefits from it as everybody experiences growth. So 1 more minute left, just reminding you about these different links and everything that is at your fingertips here. If you have any additional questions, feel free to always reach out to Chris, myself, Rachel. We are all in the Guru community, and actually we always love to hear from you, shocker, and also hear your feedback. Right now, after we wrap up all of these Guru events, we love to know how we can continue to make this better, because this is really your time to get your questions answered, to feel inspired about your work, but also feel like you know the exact next steps of how to tackle your challenges. So be sure to reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Chris and I are also holding office hours right now. So if you want to jump on our calendars, just meet us and, get to chat, it's a perfect time to do so. And I know Rachel's going to drop some information about that in the Zoom. But thanks for letting me go through all that really quickly, but just really appreciate the conversation and having you all here. And I wish you the best with the rest of your week and all the processes you're going to tackle.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kaylee, for this wonderful Guru the Gathering, and hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Thanks again, Gabriel. Good seeing everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.